In addition, Alice and Northstar Travel Group are proud supporters of Shatterproof and its mission to increase access to recovery, prevention, and mental health resources for everyone who needs them.
Thank you once again to the Boardroom Outlook Vision and Leadership Panel. Now for our final Alice 2025 Meet the Future panel, please welcome Geoff Higley, President of the BHN Group by Northstar.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome. I hope you've had a great conference so far. This will be my last time up here. I'm going to just push this down a little bit so I can see everybody. So thank you very much for being here at Alice 2025. We greatly appreciate it and wish you a safe journey home. So we're here today to address an important issue impacting the communities across the U.S. and around the world, the public health crisis of substance use disorder. To help us shed light on this growing issue that impacts the hospitality industry at higher levels than other sectors, we partnered with Shatterproof, a national nonprofit. Gary Mendell, founder of HEI Hotels, left his business to found Shatterproof after experiencing the devastating loss of his son, Brian, to this treatable medical condition. Realizing there was no national nonprofit for this condition to support those impacted, he has committed the past 13 years to helping America be stronger than addiction. So here's just a quick snapshot of what Shatterproof stands for.
Tonight, a grim statistic. One American is dying from a drug overdose every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And he wrote a note in which he said, I feel embarrassed about who I've become and what I've done to this family. And I'm just so sorry. And then he lit a candle and he took his own life, alone.
Through our leadership, 27 state policies, 2 critical components of federal legislation have been signed into law that is already helping and saving thousands of lives each and every year. We documented for the first time in our nation's history one national standard of care for the treatment of addiction that's all based on science. We developed for the first time in our nation's history a quality measurement system, essentially a consumer guide to treatment, so families looking for treatment can easily locate treatment programs that were delivering science-based care. We developed a program to reduce stigma, the way that the public feels about those with this disease. We reached 4 million people who changed their views by 38% across a series of measures.
The work you're doing at Shatterproof, the focus on education, the removal of the shame that people felt, that I felt for so long, is so crucial to understanding the disease.
It's about making change. It's about not tolerating a repetition of the past and working together to make sure that happens. We are Shatterproof!
Very powerful message from a very powerful organization. So with me on stage today are leaders of the hospitality industry who have joined forces with Gary to make meaningful change. So you can see on the screen who they are. We're going to get right to the conversation. Gary, many in this room joined us last night at the Hospitality Heroes Award reception honoring Amanda Hite. Please tell us more about this award and reception, and of course, how much you raised.
Sure. Geoff, thank you. And thank all of you for joining us here today. All of us really appreciate it. After my son died, I began to focus on a few things. Number one, the breadth of this health crisis. One in four probably in this room, of all your employees and your communities, 1 in 4 families have someone in their family with a substance use disorder. And then I learned that the hospitality industry was almost 50% greater than that. So the breadth of this issue. And then I began to focus on a few other things. I learned that less than 20% of those with this medical condition ever go to treatment, less than 20%. And I learned that those who did go to treatment, which I had included my son, less than 20% of those received treatment that was based on proven research. And, as you heard in the video, all of them felt ashamed of themselves for having a medical condition. So I saw the opportunity to change this, like the work that's done by American Heart, American Cancer, Alzheimer's Association, et cetera. Uniting millions of Americans within one organization and empowering them to create the change that is so needed and so doable. So as Geoff mentioned, I left day-to-day at HEI and formed a national nonprofit, Shatterproof. From the day we started, the hotel industry has been one of our lead supporters, our first and one of our leads. The calls I got from people on the panel with me, some of you in the audience, all through the industry, how do I help? I see this cause and we want to help. So then it was just wonderful. So we created a Hospitality Heroes Reception to honor those who are leading this support, leading this engagement, and to educate others about the work that we were doing to keep growing this movement within this industry and other industries. Amanda Hite was our honoree last night. Geoff was a past honoree. And last night we broke a record for the amount of money we raised. We raised $2.1 million last night. These are our sponsors. Most of them year after year after year after year, supporting our work. And it's the easiest phone call I have to make, and most often I'm not making the phone call. They're calling me and say, how do I donate? And how do I support your work? Our focus, one of our big focuses going forward, in addition to the work we're doing around the country, changing policies, reducing stigma, helping with changing the treatment system, helping people get into the right treatment program, a big focus going forward is how do we help deeper into companies? How do we help the employees of companies not feel stigmatized and get the help that they need? How do we help companies educate their customers? How do we help companies in their local communities help their communities? It's a big focus of our work going forward. And we just added more staff to be able to support that and lead that at Shatterproof. So with that, I'll turn it over back to Geoff for other questions. But any questions on that, feel free to reach out to Shatterproof. There'll be ways later on in the presentation how to do that.
Thank you, Gary. I think on behalf of everyone, and I would say most people in the room have been impacted at one level or another. Thank you for taking the lead and being a solution. So Amanda, congratulations to you for being this year's nominee. And Geoff, it's great to have a past honoree as well on this panel. Well,
I'll start off by saying, as a past nominee, Amanda was our first woman nominee in our history. It was Gary's son, who I'm sure is here, who said, we need a woman. We were saying that for years. But Amanda, as our first woman nominee, well, two of my mentors, one was there last night, Tom Corcoran, I don't know if he's in the audience, Bob Alters in the back, said, Gary, you've got a bunch of IWOGs. And that is Tom's acronym for incredibly white old guys. We need a woman, and Amanda, as our first woman nominee, raised more money than an Asetta, a Hoplamazi, and a Ballotti, so phenomenal.
Thank you, Geoff.
Nothing like a little competition.
Oh, there's always competition for a great cause.
So Amanda, I mean, you saw Geoff and others rappelling down the side of this building, maybe a decade or so ago, and there's been a lot of support to raising funds and attending walks around the country. Tell us why, as leaders, it's important to showcase philanthropic support overall.
Well, for me personally, I am one of the 4 affected by the disease. My late brother suffered from the disease and passed away. April will be 10 years ago. He passed away. He was 13 months younger than me, so we were raised together, had all the same friends, played all the same sports together on the same team. We were like twins. And he suffered from the disease, and I do not. And that was really difficult for him. He did not understand why. As a family, we didn't understand why. And there was a lot of stigma that we didn't really talk about it. We were, you're sort of ostracized from a lot of things in the community when you're suffering from this disease because it was seen as something was wrong with you. And when Gary called and said, we're doing a rappel down the Omni Hotel in Nashville, and he did not know my personal connection and asked for our support, and it was 11 years ago, and I got involved with Shatterproof then, rappelled down the Omni Hotel. My brother was still alive, and I, of course, sent him tons of photos and told him all about it, and he called me, he was like, I'm so proud of you, and he felt so connected and seen to know that there was an organization that was helping figure out the science and how to help. Our biggest struggle as a family was getting him help over the years. There was not evidence-based, where to find treatment centers, what were the right treatment centers. So to have Atlas today is incredible, and making sure that people that are affected by this disease understand where to go get the information you need to make the decisions that are right for you or your family to get the help you need is so important. So I'm happy to be the one to this year raise a lot of money through the reception to put to work in our industry to help our employees and our communities that we're in.
Thanks, Amanda. Geoff, how about you? Your view on philanthropy from a leadership perspective and personal reasons that you support Shatterproof.
Well, all of us, and so many in this room, have been supporting Shatterproof from the get-go. I mean, how could anyone say no to Gary Mendell and his ask of all of us 11 years ago? But I'd just like to start, Geoff, by thanking Northstar Travel Group, which was up there on the premium sponsor. There they are. We come to these conferences and we ask ourselves, what do we get out of them? We get a lot of leads, prospects, we network, but is there a greater cause? Shatterproof for I think all of us at these conferences, from Gary, you introducing it to the first conference 11 years ago, has given us just a sense of purpose. I mean, we contributed to some great causes, the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Foundation, which so many in this room give to, and I hope continue to give to wholeheartedly, is a big one. But here, something that affects 2 out of every 10 team members that in our organizations we don't know about, the support and the help that we're able to do. But I'd just like to thank, Geoff, your company, and Mr. Zink, Jonathan, and Paul Young, the CEO. I approached their COO this year and said, Bob, could you help us take this to the next level? Could Northstar Travel Group take this giving back, which makes this conference for us, for me personally, so much more meaningfully important? And without hesitation, Northstar has been promoting this cause that affects so many of, not just in the hotel industry, but the airline and the cruise industry and across the 1.7 trillion people that you talk to daily. A $1.7 trillion industry. We wish we had 1.7 trillion people in our industry, but the $1.7 trillion industry that you cover day in and day out. Our hearts go out to you, and I'd just like to all give a round of applause for Northstar for raising the awareness. That is why we had a record year, I think, Gary, you'd say, and your commitment to continue to promote something that is so important from, Geoff, a philanthropic standpoint, that we all should be giving to and be embracing.
You're welcome, and thank you for the accolades, but it's for the right reasons, right? So, So thank you, Geoff. Paul, talking about, Geoff mentioned the 2 in 10 employees.
Yep.
You've had a long career in the hotel business, including being a general manager, of a property. So I'm sure throughout your career you've had to support employees who may have been affected by addiction. Do you have any advice or guidance for fellow managers, owners who may face this?
Yeah, for sure. First, I just want to say I'm thrilled that our CEO, Mark Halpamazing, was the nominee last year, because what I've learned this morning is in order to get that, you have to rappel off a building. And I will never do that, right?
Oh, it's so much fun.
It's fear, and the weight limit on the rope would be a concern. But anyway, listen, this issue is, like everyone, and as everyone said, probably many of you, is personal to me. My immediate family and my own personal journey. I've been with Hyatt 35 years, and as you said, Geoff, most of that time was in the field. And the last 7 or 8 years, I've been removed from that, and I'm always so thoughtful about that. I think we all need to be mindful that we support hotels that never close. They're open 24/7. Nights, holidays, weekends, and our colleagues are there on the front lines every single day. I think about this community. Think about the colleagues in this community, what they've dealt with in the last couple of weeks with potentially, harm to their family or their homes. So when they're not working, they're dealing with that, and then they go to work and they're delivering care to guests that are going through perhaps the worst time in their lives. And so it's meaningful for us. I know at Hyatt, we have a purpose that is centered in care and the way we like to care for our colleagues, our owners, and our guests. But to me, I would say my biggest advice is it's about intentional leadership. It's about creating a safe space, about having the conversation when you see the stress in a hotel on a particularly busy night where maybe the hotel is short-staffed. Those things just magnify. And when I say intentional, one thing I hear a lot, people might say, oh no, I'm very inclusive and people can talk to me anytime. I have an open door policy. And that's a red flag for me, right? Because just because your door is open doesn't mean people are going to walk through it.
Yep.
And I think in this space, to address the stigma and other things that people have already addressed, which is so true. I remember having a conversation with my brother who really struggled with alcoholism. And I said, John, if they diagnosed you with cancer, and I said, walk across the street, and you can start treatment right now, you would run across the street. But because it was alcoholism, he resisted treatment. And so you have to be intentional. You have to pull people into the conversation. And I think more than anything, Geoff, as leaders, we have to give our colleagues the comfort to talk.
Yeah. Comfort.
Really
Pay attention. It sounds like you got to recognize
That's right.
that help is needed.
That's right.
Thank you, Paul. Julienne, you've been very open about your sobriety. What can companies do, from your perspective, to become a recovery-friendly workplace?
Well, first I want to say that, Gary shared a statistic that about half of us in the hospitality industry are affected by substance use disorder in some way, and it's proving true here. Paul just shared about his brother, Amanda with her brother, and then me, so the statistic is real. I will say that, my recovery journey was sort of hidden in plain sight. My disease was hidden in plain sight in that I blended very well. And when I decided to get sober, which actually I'm realizing on stage was 2 months after I rappelled off of the building here, so I don't know if that that did it for me or not, I don't know. But, I wasn't open about it, and my colleagues didn't know what was going on, and many of my family members didn't either, because there's a lot of shame, right? And it's taken me almost 9 years, right, to really come out and be open about it. And my predecessor at IHG, Joel Eisman, has a close relationship with Gary, and he was the IHG conduit to Shatterproof. And when he left and I took over, I became that conduit. So on a call one day, I shared with Gary my own journey, and then a couple months later, he said, okay, will you share that in front of the stage, or on the stage in front of the Shatterproof Heroes reception, which, I was like, no, I don't really want to do that. But I did last year, and it's very vulnerable, right, to stand in front of a group of people and say, I'm I'm in recovery. I'm a flawed human. We all are, right? We all have our challenges. And what came out of that was several people calling me and saying, you know, my brother is struggling, or I'm struggling, and I was able to, you know, provide some resources. So IHG is very active in this space. We're very connected to Shatterproof. We've got an employee resource group who's focused on well-being and mental health, and we'll be participating in the Just 5 program that is simple, sort of bite-sized learnings that Shatterproof has. So it's a remarkable organization that is really focused on eradicating the stigma. And as Gary shared, you know, there's Alzheimer's walks, there's cancer walks and things like that, and there really isn't until now in the recovery space.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Julienne. And you know, I know all of you have CSR programs and community support programs with your companies, and you know, we can summarize this, but does anybody want to talk, you know, just in general about the importance of being part of the community when it comes to this?
Well, I'll just say, I mean, I think not only is it the right thing to do, right? And I'll go back to my time in the field, but you embrace the community that you're in. You get connected with the people that live in your community, and when you're making that type of connection, it makes good business sense as well, right? So to me, it's a win-win. You know, again, I go back to Hyatt's, you know, our purpose is centered in care. That is such an easy thing to deliver, an easy thing to embrace. It really has, you know, great rewards. And for me, in terms of creating value for the people that work in their hotels, it's a feel-good. It makes them feel like the company they're working for is more than just a for-profit business, that they're doing something to make the world a little bit better. And I know that is how Mark feels.
Go ahead, Amanda. And,
Yes,
and you say, I know there's some news you also want to talk about, so we can morph right into that.
Yes, so we are committing to be engaged, not just for Hospitality Heroes reception, which we always, every year at Alice, have a very good commitment from the industry to it, from a monetary donation for the reception, but we are committing to stay involved in Shatterproof. There is training available. I mean, Paul, your comment about not just having your door open, but being able to create an environment, and we all have so many employees, you guys way more than I do, but like the training that we offer, we are an industry that we are inclusive in that anyone can come into this industry and work and be successful. And we do such a good job of making sure that we're providing the resources and training to unlock people's potential, not just in our business, but in their lives. And that's what we're challenging the industry to get committed, not just for our Hospitality Heroes reception, but throughout the year, and help so many of our employees that are affected.
And I just encourage everyone in this room to open this QR code and take the 1-minute test. I was amazed when I took it. I think you all could be as well. So many of our team have taken it. Back in 2021, Gary, thanks to you making it available to Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, we rolled this out first internally among our senior team, but then more importantly to our 6,500 franchisees in the United States of America. These are our 6 very fast-paced 5-minute educational sessions that we can't, it's confidential, it's completely anonymous. I can't sit up here and tell stories about those incredible small business owners that appreciated this, but what I can tell them, I can tell from them, and Monica Melanson, our Chief Human Resource Officer, hears it all the time. It's one of the things we offer to our team members that is more appreciated than any of the support that we consistently offer them, because of just how, as Julienne so eloquently said, blind it is to all of us. It is a really phenomenal tool that Gary and the team are making available to all of us in this industry, that I think will open all of our eyes in terms of the support that we can provide to our team members. So I'd really urge everyone here that leads teams to embrace this and make it available to them, and it will just help further our cause.
So that's a further pledge to the industry, right? And as you know, I know we're kind of getting down to the time for the panel, but talk about the pledge that you're going to make to the industry, and maybe let's go down the line and summarize that. Geoff, let's start with
I mean,
you.
look, we provide support to small business owners, and this is something that affects half of us up here, and 2 out of 10 of our employees directly. So. Gary will be at our global conference in May, and it's every year one of the more visited booths. I'd suggest every one of us, I'm sure, could welcome Shatterproof into their world to provide that type of support to people who are struggling.
Paul, Hyatt's pledge?
Yeah, we're in it for the long term. I think we see it. The data speaks for itself, and we want to be sure. We have 1,400 hotels globally, and this issue. As Amanda said, the issues that our colleagues deal with, it doesn't matter what your family background is, your economic background, where you came, it could affect anyone. So we're committed to having an inclusive environment. We're going to be partnering with Shatterproof for a long time. We're going to make sure that our colleagues and our guests, when they come to our hotels, feel supported. So we're in it for a long time.
Very good. Amanda?
Yeah, we're continuing our financial support of Shatterproof, and we're also now the Just 5 training. We have not done that with our employees, and as I was learning about Just 5 and how easy it is, it's quick training, and it's not just helpful for those that are suffering from the disease, but for the people that are working with those to help identify. It's really good training, so being able to offer that to all of our employees is something that we're going to do.
Okay, let's go down to Julienne.
Sure, yes, I'll add. I think the Just 5 program is just the beginning for IHG. I think that's scratching the surface, but there's so much more that Shatterproof is doing that we'll tap into. And if half of our employees are affected by the disease of addiction, that certainly is an impact. I would say we partner professionally, but many of us on this stage have also supported Shatterproof personally. And in honor of my father-in-law, who I lost the disease of alcoholism, who never found recovery, our family foundation is pledging $10,000.
And Gary will have the final word in a minute, but I want to make sure it was mentioned before. But Northstar Travel Group, from the top, Jason Young, Bob Sullivan, all the way through the organization, will continue to pledge to help this effort over the next year and beyond.
Yeah.
As we highlight evidence-based information, education resources, and engagement opportunities to those in the hospitality and travel industries across the travel industry to address substance use disorder. So we'll announce this spring who else has joined this pledge among you and others. And with that said, Gary, the final word goes to you. What say you?
I think the final word is certainly we need generous support to do our work. And the industry is being very, as you've heard throughout this, has been very financially supportive. 2.1 million last night. Almost 10 million over the last 10 years, this industry. But there's a key but that we're trying to get across here, everyone. In addition to financial support, engaging with your employees, your franchisees, your communities, working with us on campaigns to get messaging out to the public, to your customers, is another way that you can work with us in addition to financial support to help our cause. We can't do everything on our own. Even with money coming in, we need to help your employees. Yeah. We want to help your communities. And we're building resources to do so. Just 5, as Julienne just mentioned, is only a starting point. It's actually grown now. It's 9 lessons at 5 minutes each. Again, 5 minutes each. Also for people who don't have substance use in their family. Yeah. There's a lesson on prevention. Yeah. So that should be offered to all your employees. But as Julienne said, it's just a starting point to get into companies. And how do we help? How do we get companies involved with educating the community? Engaging their customers, et cetera. So I can go on forever, but that's the key points.
Gary, thank you very much. Julienne, Amanda, Paul, Geoff, thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for being here this morning. We'll continue with the program, but please have a safe journey home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julienne. Please, after
Thank you, Gary. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Geoff.